So this video is on vocab, okay? What I want to share about vocab is, first of all, the concept of comprehensible input. I'm not sure how many of you have heard this before. Comprehensible input is when a language learner is put in a situation where the foreign language that they are hearing isn't as foreign as it could be, because they somehow recognize or can make some sort of reasonable deduction or come to a reasonable conclusion about what a word might mean. So one thing, like for example in the United States, technically speaking, the word enchilada is a word in Spanish. It's not a word in English. In the United States, if I were to teach you a sentence like una enchilada, por favor, well, guess what? The word enchilada, if you can figure out the pronunciation when I said it in Spanish, is going to be familiar to you, because that's a word that's been adopted by the English language. That is comprehensible input. The words por favor, even though you might recognize them as por favor, I want to say maybe 80% of Americans know what por favor means. It means please, right? So if I'm giving my beginner students comprehensible input, then I can be fairly certain that they're going to understand what's going on, and that's going to ease their anxiety. It's going to ease the burden of them feeling like newbies, right? Now, of course, you can't just teach comprehensible input, otherwise you're not teaching, right? I mean, teaching is where there's new input coming in as well. And, I think good language teachers know, and actually not just good language teachers, but good language course creators, they know the ratio of comprehensible input and then new non-comprehensible input that needs to be put into a lesson. And in Functionally Fluent, the material that I created, I have aimed for every chapter to introduce about a 20% stretch. In other words, you do chapter 1, and even there's going to be comprehensible input already in there because of cognates, which I'll talk about more in a minute, and also because of frequently understood words in Spanish. And then you move on to chapter 2, and there's going to be a lot of review from chapter 1, so that's another way to put comprehensible input in there, is by reviewing things that the students have already learned through the program. And then there's going to be a stretch beyond that. And then you go to chapter 3, and there's going to be more, of the comprehensible input, and there's going to be new stuff introduced there as well. So the purpose of teaching with so much comprehensible input is so that you can build empowerment, and also so that it can serve as review. So what else did I want to say? Oh yes, I wanted to go back to the concept of cognate. So what is a cognate? I know that's a very kind of nerdy, linguistics kind of word, but a cognate is a word that's a look-alike or sound-alike or kind of feel-alike word between two languages, right? So, a lot of the cognates between Spanish and English, it's because they have that common root in Latin. So if you think of a word such as transition in English, in Spanish it's transición. So when you look at that word on paper, if you're reading, there's only one letter difference. So you can pretty much guess that, transition and transición, if you see the word transición, you can guess that it means transition, right? So there are a lot of, I won't get into it too much here, but a cognate is a word that a student looks at and they just kind of know what it means because it's so similar to the word in their own language. So that's another kind of comprehensible input. So that's a little hack. It's a little trick, if you will. So if you create these word hooks, and that's what a really good teacher, one of the things that they'll help you with, or a really good program will help you with, is helping your mind connect those dots. Now, can you use a word hook for everything? No, of course you can't. Sometimes there's going to be a word that's like, what planet did that word come from? And then you want to use your mental energy to focus on those outliers, more so than on the cognates, more so than on the familiar words, more so than on the words that you already have a hook for. So thanks for being with me as I discuss this concept of word associations, comprehensible input, and an empowering approach to learning vocabulary. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video.